Hare Krishna, World Racer, Sabina and Roger here. Let's read chapter 12, Devotional Service from the Bhagavad Gita as it is. More on the author and this book in the description.
Yeah. So before we start, we must prepare our minds for such incredible and sacred wisdom. So let's set the intention and let the Lord know that we're seeking His wisdom and His guidance, and let the words permeate into true knowledge, true understanding, true comprehension of what is being taught. So please bless our hearts and our minds with your divine grace.
Beautiful. And we are on a massive battlefield still. Arjuna and Krishna in the middle. Krishna just revealed his cosmic form to Arjuna. This is where we stopped last time. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons, engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always, without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of bhakti-yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of bhakti-yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up all results of your work, and try to be self-situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspiciousness and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Okay, so I know we probably talked about that a million times, but let's talk about it again because it is still not clear to me. What does he mean by worshipping the unmanifest and the manifest?
Yeah, so worshipping the unmanifest is, so the unmanifest is the Brahman, right? So that's the infinite field of consciousness, that manifests all things. And that's the unmanifested form of Krishna, meaning that it's unmanifested in the sense that everything that is manifest within creation is part of the unmanifest. So in this instance, it's more saying about the impersonal, right? So Krishna as a form, the form Krishna that is speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield, that's his supreme form. That's the form that he chose to be, in this universe or in all of the multiverses, right? That's his supreme form. But his formless aspect is basically, I see it as his mind. So Krishna being the form that is appearing to Arjuna can be in multiple realms and multiple dimensions, even beyond this material universe, in the spiritual realm. So multiple forms, but all Krishna, right? So the unmanifested form is his mind. I see it literally as Krishna's mind, right? So that's the Brahman, because think about it. When Krishna is creating a universe, he's doing it with his mind, right? And that mind becomes the universe, right? So that's the unmanifest, the impersonal, just, that's the non-duality, right? And people can seek the divine that way. So that's very much, the path of what the Buddha taught, right? So it's transcending the ego, not seeking anything beyond the ego like a god, Buddha, he didn't really deny God, but he never really spoke too much about it, right? So that's how I see it, right? Is that Buddha was just teaching the straight and narrow path for somebody who maybe was kind of fed up at that time in history. There were certain things, going on. We don't need to talk about them. but Buddha was like, okay, let's just put God aside for now for people who just want to seek deliverance from suffering. So that was what Buddha was teaching. He was teaching the way out of, the cycle of rebirth, and doing it, by the power of our own divinity, our own nature, our Buddha nature, which is always pure, and it's always part of the, the Brahman, the infinite field of consciousness. So we can raise our level of consciousness, transcending the ego, and then the ego death literally occurs, and then boom, we experience the enlightened states. But God is still very much a part of that. So that's the impersonal part of Krishna. And he's saying that it's more difficult. And I see it as being more difficult because there's nothing so clear to fix your mind on as, Krishna, as a deity, right? Because if you attach yourself to a deity, even Krishna says that, by worshiping the gods or the demigods, whoever it is, like you'll go to those realms. Like I truly believe that even in ancient times when people were worshiping, the Greek gods or the Norse gods or like Loki and Thor, and Valhalla, people did go to those realms because those realms are all within the divine creation of Krishna. And then by his opulence and his effulgences, people can go to those realms. If you worship or think about the ancestors, you'll go to a realm where you'll be with your ancestors. So very much in the, Native American tradition where they believe in the Great Spirit and they're all, one, and they'll, in other traditions as well, right? So whatever you focus your mind on with that fixity of determination that he's talking about, you'll go there, right? So you can transcend your ego and dissolve into nothingness, is also a possibility, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either, right? So I don't want to debate about which is higher, because there's going to be a seeking and a longing for all of us, depending on our karma and our desires. And we can't really judge which is higher and lower, because for me, the highest for me is for me, but the highest for somebody else will be the highest for them. And everything is allowed. Yeah, so we just read the first lines of this chapter, also from this book, just to get some more clarification, because Sabina did find this version easier to understand, and it basically is saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's saying the exact same thing. Yeah. I was just curious, but yeah.
Yeah, so fantastic, right?
Okay, so maybe can you just talk about what devotional service, or does he get into that? I mean, we already talked about it in earlier chapters, but...
Yeah, he's talking about it here. Basically, it's karma yoga in my mind, right? So centered with bhakti, right? So you're not just surrendering the fruits of your actions, but you're performing your actions for Krishna, right? So everything you do, and if you do that, like even at work, it's like, I'll get Krishna in my mind while I'm working away, and then the workday just gets better. It's like I'm building this piece of metal, I'm building this skid, for Krishna, and I'm welding and I'm making the best welds possible for Krishna. And it's like an appearance, because you got to remember that Krishna sees everything. He's the consciousness of all consciousnesses. He's the spark of life within all beings. So Krishna is literally seeing through my eyes. So when I build something, I'm surrendering and I'm offering it to Krishna and being of service. So it's no matter what you're doing. It's like even peeling a potato can be an offering, right? Because you're preparing something for others. And even like at work, everything that we're doing is doing something for others when you think about it. No matter what your job is, we wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for the other beings that need, services, right? Or products. So, and everything being Krishna, right? When we're building something for, a company that, needs a separator package or a skid, or whatever it is we're building, that's going to go to people, and people are going to use it. And those people are also the manifestation of Krishna.
Nice.
So, so that's devotional service to me. It's in every action, every breath, our very being is resting in the Supreme.
Yeah, so what happened to me this week, the Hare Krishna mantra was just racing through my mind, right?
Yeah. I was just
nonstop. All day.
It was great.
Like all day. Roger was here or not, I was alone. And with Roger, I just I could not stop singing it. It was all day. Anyway, so then in a way, the mind is fixed on Krishna. And yet when I chanted, I don't have a form in mind. I have Krishna in mind, but Krishna doesn't have, it's just Krishna. And then everything is joyful. Like, if I would have to describe my week, it would just be like joy. It was like joy.
So you can elevate that. Maybe when it happens again, maybe do visualize, make the effort to visualize Krishna, and so you can put some Rup Jan in there. You know what I mean?
But then how? Because, I walk through the flat and it's like Krishna, everything is Krishna, everything is rising. Like, it was just so, everything was just Krishna.
So, so I guess even in that sense, so the form, so his names are forms, right? So the sound, it's a sound form, right? So chanting the mantra is very much, worshipping the form of Krishna's name, right?
Okay.
So,
and
then,
interesting.
And Krishna's it's about your state of mind, right? So in that sense, Krishna's going to know that your devotion is being offered to him as the form, because the impersonal Brahman, is a slightly different aspect. It's the impersonal, but you are obviously, you're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, so obviously it's towards, that aspect of the Lord.
Yeah, when I fall asleep, I visualize Jesus and Buddha next to me, and then Krishna's feet. I sleep on his lotus feet.
Nice.
And every night I wake up a few times because of the toilet or whatever. Every time for a week or two now, I wake up in the middle of the night one of the first things I remember is Krishna. And I don't dream about, I haven't had a single dream regarding Krishna, not that I remember. But when I wake up, as soon as I'm conscious or become conscious and start thinking, it's like one of the first things is always Krishna. In the middle of the night. It's so weird. Like, that is something different that I noticed. Anyways, I thought I'd share.
Yeah, that's great. So the time has ripened. Because this truly is Sabina's first dive into the Bhagavad Gita, and I have been waiting a very, very long time for us to do this together. So I'm very, very happy with the results and seeing my partner, my spiritual partner, coming from more of a Buddhist tradition. And me, myself, I studied Buddhism more than I have Hinduism thus far. But yeah, so it's so great. So at the same time, I was, devoted to Krishna even while I was studying Buddhism. It was just the way my path manifested. And then now Sabina, is coming on board to learn about Krishna with me is just fantastic. And really embracing that and having her mind fixed, having the teachings are penetrating. I don't know if you guys can see that. Can you see that, the Bhagavad Gita is, having an effect. And she's really interested, listening, engaging. Yeah, I loved the last chapter when she was reading so much as Arjuna and being like Arjuna, with the offering obeisances and very diligent and, and it takes a certain amount of faith and dedication and yeah. So if you like Sabine's effort, please, hit that like button for Sabine. Sabine. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful chapter on devotion. And let us know how you guys practice devotional service. And let's keep the comment section pure and clean and kind. Because there's no right or wrong way. We all have our own journey and path, and we all have, portray our devotion in certain ways. So let us know your experiences with Krishna and devotion and with the Gita and what you like most about this chapter. And remember, the very most important thing of all, and the whole reason why we are here and we have this channel, is to raise ourselves
and raise the world. Thank you so much, everyone. We love you, and we're gonna have a little break now. We're gonna watch Krishna Consciousness next week, and then we're back with a new author of the Gita. Okay, we love you.
Peace.